Hi, good morning. My name is Nicole Oman, and I am here on Monday, September 15th, with your daily guidance. All right, how are we feeling? I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. I took a little bit more of a long weekend because, well, it was my birthday and I wanted to play, really. But honestly, I don't know if it was because of my birthday or I have to be honest with you, I was triggered a lot this weekend. And it might have been a little from irrational fears, but it was very, very deep. And some of it was like inner childhood things that would pop through the surface. And a lot of it also maybe was even past life stuff. I'm not quite sure. It feels like both. Um, so I wanted to talk a little bit about how we're dealing with these old issues, especially foundational issues, when we are from the time we were born to about 7 or 8. This is our foundation. This is where we perceive the world to be. So if you had a safe place, you perceive the world as a safe place to live. If you had a lot of turmoil in your childhood, or you had a lot of imbalance, or a parent wasn't there, these unsafe feelings, then sometimes we have these triggers of the world not being a safe place. And when these things trigger, and for example, abandonment is one of mine, or not feeling like, because my dad would make promises to me and then would be like 4 hours late, and by the time we would actually go, I have to go to sleep. So I have this trigger if my husband is late at all and it's not going according to the way I plan. I get this like really like suffocating feeling, if that makes sense. It's hard to breathe. We get anxiety. It's really stressful, and a lot of emotions can come up. And when the emotions come up, there's almost this one part of your brain that knows that they're irrational, and then the other part's going, you know what, I don't really care. I have to flow with this. And I started getting a lot of that. So I had to look at myself and see how I was allowing myself to process. And I love this quote. It's kind of a quote, it's a little chapter in The New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. And he talks about when something comes up, if we're denying it or we're judging it, we don't actually get to process it. So it's a really good practice to allow yourself to feel it. Allow yourself to feel it fully and move through it. And yes, the trauma might still be there. It might not fully leave, but you'll find that when you get present with the moment, when the trigger happens, instead of judging yourself or overindulging with the trigger, if we stay very present on what is happening and accepting where we are in that moment, you might find that there is some space that happens, that there's some presence that happens, and you get a little bit more breath. I know that sounds kind of funny, but just space, a little bit more of a gap to give you more choice, more empowerment when we are going through these times of emotional trigger. And a lot of it comes through as anger, a lot of it comes through as um, self pity. It just depends on the way you've processed it, and it's a pattern of behavior. So, when we have this space, which is a really interesting, when we're present and we accept what's going on with us instead of judging it as anything that it may or may not be, just allowing it to be what it is, you grab the space and then you have a choice. And when you can choose, even if it's just taking a breath or holding your heart and saying, okay, I accept you, I love you, I'm safe, you start changing the actual brain patterning that is happening. So, and it won't take you out as much next time. And then when it happens again, because it always happens on a cyclical basis, it's always kind of a layering, then you have a little more space and a little more space and a little more space until It might still be a trigger your entire life just because it might be your foundation, but it might not take you out. It might get less where you learn to live in a place of thriving with it instead of being so terrified that you're going to be triggered that way and it fully take you out all day. Okay. You know what? I think I want to put one card to see what. Yeah. So there's the cloudy thoughts and the emotions, right? And so it's upside down. It's clearing some of this karmic stuff, clearing some of this emotional traumas, and allowing ourselves to be more clear on how we feel and how we see it. It being upside down, because this is usually the card of illusion, this card being upside down is actually a good thing. It means there's disillusionment happening. You're starting to see some things. You might actually see where it came from. You might see that it was a trigger from your father, a trigger from your brother, a trigger from your mother, wherever it came from, and then not getting too mental, allowing it to process through, and then having new choices, being empowered instead of feeling disempowered by these overwhelming emotions. Okay, I think that your message is complete for today. If you need me for anything, if you'd like someone to hold space for you as you go through these emotions, you can book a session with me at coachingwithnikki@yahoo.com, or you can book a session at GaiaBlooming.com. I also do readings if you would like one. All right, well, until next time, I will see you very soon. Okay, namaste.